What's up, guys? My name is Jackson Geffen. I'm here with Chapman Radio with Airospace.
Yo.
How's it going, man? How you doing?
I'm kicking it. I'm baked as shit. I'm in LA.
We're here in downtown LA right now at the Citizen M Hotel. Aero, thank you for coming out tonight or today and joining us for this interview. I really appreciate your time. Talk to me real quick about your connection to LA, because I know this is not your first time here. I know you've actually lived here a bit before. You have a lot of artist friends that live out here too. Tell me about that.
I'm gonna be doing this a lot.
No, that's okay.
Shit. I moved out to LA in what was it? I think 2013.
Okay.
I went to Musicians Institute.
Yeah. For drumming and audio engineering, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was there for about a year. Plus, got into an accident. I was walking on Franklin and Orange. I got hit by a truck, fucked my knee up.
Damn.
Failed out of the school. But I ended up staying connected with a bunch of people. Like, for example, one of my homies is in Loveless.
Yeah, Dylan, right?
Yeah. Dylan. Really, really, really good homie. That's like ride or die, like family.
Yeah.
When I was 2017, actually, give an example. 2017, when I was on tour, and I was on tour actually because I was homeless at the time. And it just kind of worked out. And Dylan was like, actually, you can come stay with me, do. So I actually lived with him rent-free for a while, just giving an example of I have another homie, Christian Kangawi, that's like big bro. He ended up going off to play drums for Carnival. Mm-hmm. Sid, Randy, I can go down to Zoe. Like, it's a bunch of really fire-ass people that I met at MI that became family. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But before that, it actually started in Panorama City, where I met Shango, I met Eric, I met Tim, and it just kind of spurred from there, from like the Strange Friends shit. It just kind of like went on down the line. Then the music shit at the school, and then, just back and forth in between there, like All Dreams and Era to, I say like 2017, 2018, like Nocturne era is when I like actually came back to DC, and I was in DC for a while.
Word. Okay, cool. Yeah. I know
Shout out to Valley.
Shout out to Valley. Shout out to DMV.
Yeah, like shit. Shout out DC. You know what I'm saying?
I know the origin for this, but can you explain to our listeners and viewers the origins of your name, Aerospace, real quick?
All right, so boom, check this out, right? I used to live in this place in Maryland called Good Luck Road, right? Mm-hmm. That's the name of the road. Fuck, I'm high as shit. Name of the place is Lanham, Maryland. And I lived on Good Luck Road in Lanham. Right across the street from where I lived at Forest Lake is it's like what's it called? It's like the Aerospace Center.
Yeah.
Let's just call it that, right? And they have like your barber shops, like your food, all that other good shit. You go down the street, all the way till you get down to Aerospace Road, and that's the first NASA Goddard flight station.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's where they did all their stuff and whatever the case was, right? And so from the very, very beginning, when I was with my mom's, rest in peace, she was the one that actually would put on cartoons, and I would find anime when I was like really young, but I couldn't identify what it was until like 5 with my boy David, big bro. He was the one that was getting some of the bootleg like anime and like all of the good like flash like PS2 games for his PlayStation, because he had that shit with the Japanese like conversion and shit. So that's how I ended up finding about like the space shit and learning about like, oh shit, this is crazy. Like there's astronomy, there's space, all of these other things. Like, and then a little bit of science around that time was just like 3 to like maybe like 5. Jump forward to when I was living in Maryland, it just connected. I'd always loved space. Aerospace was like, yo, this is tight. Oh, it was the study of flight aviation. Oh shit, that's what I feel like. That's where my brain is at. Oh shit, let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah.
Then it came from different like variations, because originally it was aerospace with an E. Then it was Aerospace with like some type. It was like slashes and some shit in between it.
Right.
Yeah. Like way back. And then I was like, all right, we gotta this has to make more sense, because I'm gonna end up clashing with other things.
Yeah.
And then I dropped the E, put an I. Heard Cannibal Ox. They lied when they said there was no air in space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I heard that line. I was like, oh shit, that's it. That's fucking crazy. And then I put it in there, and then boom, you got Aerospace.
Right on. Okay, cool. Thank you. You mentioned anime and that. I wanted to talk about your connection to that because I know that several of your project covers have anime on it. I know you have a song Sailor Moon. The list goes on and on. Can you tell me about how like that influences the music you make, or what is the connection between like the culture, like pop culture / anime, and like your inspiration for music?
First and foremost, we can't talk about anime unless we talk about Japanese culture.
Yeah.
You know, like as a whole. And you learn a lot of history about the Japanese people through anime. You know, you pay attention to how they're putting their it's like anything, right? I put my feelings into my music,
right,
so people learn about me. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the concepts, like philosophical concepts, you know, were things that I automatically gravitated towards. That's why I like Bakemonogatari.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's things there that were like not explored in Western culture that I've seen has been explored in Asian media all around. Like even if you watch a lot of you know, K movies, whatever the case is, you know, K anime even,
right,
you'll see so much exploration into the human emotion, into the philosophy around the world, about even just the way things could be structured given a way that you address it, i.e. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. You know what I'm saying? So like anime was just like a way of like opening my brain up to there being more of a possibility of things that the world could be or is, and learn about it from a different perspective. It wasn't just like me being Black Caribbean living in the United States. You know what I'm saying? It's like different.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Going off of that, this is kind of an interesting segue, but I know that like originally with your music, there was definitely a huge, speaking on anime, because there's a tie-in here with lo-fi sound and like that alternative sound. But I know more recently, at least in my opinion, you've seemed to kind of shift away from using that lo-fi influence. And I feel like it's important to address kind of like the whitewashing of lo-fi music too, and how like...
Which is exactly the reason why.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a bit, or...
Okay, so boom. There was a few of us that were doing like what is now called lo-fi hip-hop, like way back in the day, right? It wasn't called lo-fi hip-hop. It was essentially jazz hop, right?
Right.
Then you had like, fuck all that, right? We're going to go into like having Nujabes, which I had spoken to on MySpace. You can check out my blog. You got your Substantial, you got your Marcus D, right? Then from there, you got your Fat John. Now we're going to go a little bit, that's the mix of like Japanese and American, right?
Yeah.
Because you got the Nujabes, but then you got Substantial, who's from Baltimore, Maryland, and you got Marcus D, right? But then you start going into the Fat Johns, and you start going into the Sushis, and then you start seeing Samurai Champloo. Right. Then you go, oh shit, there's a marriage here that even though it was separate in different sides of hip hop, right? You had your Cannibal Ox and a lot of dudes that was on Raucous Records, or even some Wu-Tang references, right? Or old Kanye references, old Doom references, were too anime, but that marriage hadn't been completed, right?
Yeah.
So this is just obviously just my perspective. So you're watching this and you have like the jazz kind of hip hop start becoming a thing, and then it starts mixing in with the Dilla, Samurai Champloo pops out, boom, you get Adult Swim Bumps.
Yeah.
Then Adult Swim Bumps was coming out, and it was like, oh, these like wonky beats, where's this coming from? Little did people know there was a device called the SP404 that was being used in Japan, right?
Yep.
So that's where you get your Ichiros, your Matatabis, you got your Yutaro News Rolls, whatever the case is. You have these producers that are building with a style that they had, for all intents and purposes, had seen Dilla do,
right,
and go, oh shit, this can be something new. They took that, we start catching wind of it, then you start seeing like your Flying Lotuses, you start seeing your Mind Designs. Yeah, exactly, like Flying Lotus fan. You start seeing your Mind Designs.
Yeah.
You start seeing like all these different types of producers, and it's like this beautiful wave of things that like I got into in 2013. It's when I learned about it. I know it started before then. I was making the anime, like hip-hop kind of lo-fi, Adult Swim kind of shit, probably in that pocket of 2011. But I didn't drop anything until 2012, which was the Bakemonogatari joint, which is volume 1.
Right.
Jump forward into what we're talking about now, you started seeing a wave of people seeing there being a rhythmic foundation that can be taken. Remember, everything comes from, when you see whitewashing of anything, there's a foundation where it can be taken from and pushed in a certain way, right? So they found the engine. The engine was in the hi-hat structure. You got a swinging to it. You can lay everything else straight, but the swing on the hi-hat will change the way the entire song sounds. Yeah. Found that, oh, we can throw like a little, a little sample on that. We can throw a vinyl cut because that's what makes it dusty, right? But ultimately, that's not what. But that's not what had created that texture. That texture had come from you chopping a vinyl, you putting it into this device and or whatever DAW you use, and those sounds that were in the background, you kept it in.
Yeah.
And it just worked. You were putting different types of mixing styles on it, different effects, and then some things were bending. Yeah. Oh shit, this is bending. This is cool. I'm just gonna do this as a thing, and then it started becoming whatever. They took the individuality of the bends out. They kept the straight lace and threw in some swings, and then it became lo-fi.
Yeah.
So now you have, with something as easy as that structurally, anybody can do that. If you take that bass, you put another name on it, and now it's something else. I can give a direct example. This isn't whitewashing, but I'm just giving an example of it, right? Yeah, so you got like your Honda, right? Yeah. Here's Honda, everything is like whatever, and then you got your Acura, oh shit, your Acura TSX, your Acura RSX, but then you go to Japan, it's like, yeah, let me get an accurate, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the chassis for this is actually Honda owned, and they split this too, because you have a luxury here and you have a this, it's all part of the same company. Yeah. So, lo-fi, it's all part of the same company, but you had some people that took the architectural structure of it and the blueprints and was like, ooh, we can make money doing it like this. Yeah. So, it wasn't just the artists that were doing it, because even in the beginning, it was like a flow to it. Like, when I went on my first tour, shout out to Just Joey. He was the one who took me on my first tour, formerly known as Lucid Optics. And Nomadic was on there. Nomadic was actually the DJ at the time. Yeah. Nomadic started learning beats around the second time we went on tour, and then it became a thing. Right. Now, it's its own community. The producer community is its own thing. So I kind of just stay on the outside. I connect with the people I connect to. I learn what I learn because I know how this moves. All of that inner fighting is coming from a lot of the whitewashing and people trying to go, well, I own this beat style. Well, I own this. Well, I own these hi-hats. Well, I own this. And when essentially it was an open community. Right. Like, oh, this is tight. Oh, this is tight. Oh, what's your name? Oh, what's your name? Oh, this is sick. It blended that way. Mm-hmm. And it was very relationship built. And once it was figured out that you can take a piece of this and monetize off of it heavily, and that was it. And the streaming era just knocked it out the park. Yeah. Because then it's like, oh, I'll tell you like this, and there's no hate on it. But when I saw a lo-fi girl and the chill cow shit, I was like, oh, it's over. It's over. And it's
the 24/7 live streams or whatever of just lo-fi beats that you can chill study to or whatever.
And and the craziest part about it is, this isn't hating on any of the producers that are on there, because there's some fire-ass producers. But when you have now named it this, and people go to it, they're listening to this, and that is what that sounds like as a whole to them, not knowing, like, yo, you do a bit of research, you could find producers like Cloud, who's from New York. She's fire. Like, you start listening and hearing these different types of beats, and it's like, oh, man, this shit sounds so crazy. And it's like, nah, I know Munoz. Shout out Munoz. Munoz was 15 at the time, I believe, when they made the beat for the Earl Sweatshirt joint that I did. Yeah. 15 in Chicago. And you heard some shit. It was like, oh, yeah, this is how we do it. You created your own style based off of this piece. And it became something. It was just community. It was like you add on. If you take something, you leave something. Take a book, leave a book.
Do you see yourself, like, returning to that sound at all anytime soon? Well, and I guess this will segue into the next part. I noticed that, like, recently, and you have some background in metal too, being a drummer. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that recently your sound has been a lot more aggressive, like hard rock, not hard rock, but metal influence, if you will. Do you see yourself returning to a form or sound that's lo-fi influence? I know occasionally, like, you can hear it here and there, but what do you think?
I don't know. It's like weird, right? Because I don't want to feel like I'm being old mentally with the thought of being like, well, I was there and I don't need to be there now. It's a lot less like that. I love it. Even some of the new shit, the way it's structured, I love the sounds, Yeah. It's a lot more like that. I go based on how I feel. Everything is an era in how I feel. At the time, my expression of self came in the form of, I've lied to you long enough. Or dialect, or lucid. You know what I'm saying? It was like that. But now, it's just not the time for play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to get what I'm feeling to the truest degree that I would want it to be. Yeah. for me personally, over a beat that sounds like that. Even though I love it. To me, the melodies and the nostalgia that you feel from it with the little gloss on it, and then it's the boom bap background, backbone, vertebrae, whatever you choose to call it. Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it. But for me personally, there's too much here that has to get through here that can't be expressed over something that's too quiet.
Okay.
Sometimes you need a live band in order to give you the full representation of whatever it is that the band themselves are trying to express.
That's a good segue. I wanted to talk about Dylan and Loveless and you guys doing the live recording for I Know You're Mad at Me right now, but you should listen to this. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that process. And I want to also, well, we can get into that in a minute, but like the Sprite endorsement / cosign and the lyric video that they put out at the same time as that music video dropped. But talk to me about working with Loveless and Dylan for that, because it's a really, we'll link it in the video, but it's a really, really sick live rendition of the song, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out Dylan, man. Dylan, Steven, we're doing that bullshit, right? I found Dylan, Steven, now we gotta talk about Steven, through MI, right? As previously mentioned, aforementioned. And I sent them the song and I was like, yo, I'm coming out to LA, what do y'all think? And they were like, yo, this is sick, okay. And then we went into the studio because they found some people. There's a guy named Noel who was directed the video. He was a friend of Steven, I believe. Steven. I will say Steven and Dylan because most of the time, right? And he heard it, he loved it. He was like, yo, I wanted to do a video for a hardcore band for a while, but I haven't found a band that gave me what I needed, but this gave me what I needed. So yeah, let's do this shit. And I hit them, was like, yo, let's actually do it. Like, whatever. It's like, all right, we'll do it live. Now, originally, I thought we were going to go in there, just do the video. They were going to play the instruments. They were going to leave my vocals on there, leave the backing track in. But that wasn't the case. Yeah, they were like, no, we're actually doing this live, and I wasn't prepared for it. And I was like, all right, fuck it, so we'll do it. And then this came out. We knocked it out. And
you guys killed it.
3 hours, something like that. Maybe less. Between setup and breakdown.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Going off of that, I wanted to talk about a bit, because I was trying to do research into it. I was kind of confused about it. The Sprite endorsement that was going on, or is still going on. First of all, because I know my understanding of it was that they found a lot of up and coming hip hop artists and were like trying to give them support, which is dope. But walk me through how that came about, what support and like how that connection, what that looks like. I'm not sure if it's still going on or what, but can you talk to me about that real quick?
All right, boom. So
I just think it's a fire endorsement to have, like in general. Shout out Sprite.
Hey, first and foremost, we gotta talk about how black people love Sprite. Like, that's just the thing. I love Sprite. The shit is delicious. Drinking it since I was a kid. It's crazy how it turned out. You know what I'm saying? McDonald's Sprite definitely is different. Shit tastes like a little bit of Static Shock with a bolts of Thor lightning. It's fucking nuts. Sprinkle a little bit of crack. It's wonderful. But it was just online, and they had said, yo, like, we're looking for someone, so shout out your artists or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, hey, yo, Space Code, y'all gonna have to say this because this is low-key kind of crazy, but let's just see what happens. I wasn't expecting anything of it. Mm-hmm. But they did it. They hit me up by contract. You know, it's like, hey, what do you think about this? We talked for a little bit. And then I think it was like a couple months later, we ended up sealing it. And later on, I ended up discussing it with the people who had put it on. Shout out Warren. Her Instagram is Warren Lynn Chester. But she's cool as fuck. It's Lauren. And they were like, yeah, so you actually got the most hits out of everybody on there. Like, your fans kind of went ape shit. Yeah. And so we chose you based off of how much fan interaction you had. It's like, okay, cool.
Sweet.
Let's do it. And then it just kind of is what it is. So for people that aren't aware, you know, essentially a contractor, private contractor. Yeah. So if it's something that they don't own anything, you know, but if there's something they need, they hit me up. All right, cool. I'm here. I got you. Damn.
Sweet.
It's love. It's like it feels like a relationship.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. think I got this one. Yeah. Sing it for me. Yeah. I'm a god of these niggas. You got a problem, take them arms and then dissolve a little nigga. If I'm a target, then I'm a market just to stop the fill in it. Plug in a socket, static shocked and mixed with Hobson and Jigga. I don't need Hobson, but you gon' hop spin when we block sitting winner. Free my brother, fat boy on my life. What it is just talk about the photo. Let's take away the race structure, which you can't, but let's take away the race structure for a moment. Yeah. If you were a friend of mine and I said to you, yo, what you did hurt me, if we were in a healthy relationship, you would say, yo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that to you, yo, this was kind of weird, it ain't gotta be like this. But that's not how it was, even from the beginning, it wasn't like that until I actually gave a pushback. The original thing that was said was, yo, I'm disappointed in you, I'm never gonna go through this again, long ass text, I didn't respond. I know how the internet works. You'll take the snippet of what I said and you'll try to throw it out to make it seem like it's something else. Don't say nothing. I finally respond back, leave a voice message, then you wanna come back and be like, yo man, I understand, Now that's something you should have understood before it got to the point where I had to say something. Now that I've said something, now I've become something. And even before then, I wasn't the initial person to put it out. It was a fan that had tagged me on a close story is how I found out, which is crazy. I'm on a project, I don't see what's going on, you know, show me the booklet, and then later on I end up finding out that, oh, I'm in this likeness, which is completely and totally antithetical to everything that I've built. Fuck all the other shit. I'm very on, yo, I don't fuck with transphobia, I don't fuck with racism, I don't fuck with all that other shit. I'm not perfect, but I don't fuck with it just by proxy. Yeah. So if you know that that's me and you see me speaking about these issues, which otherwise y'all never say anything about, and you alienate all the other fans that don't look like you, essentially. And I'm here to now be the token black face of, in order to make it so that you can maneuver through this hip hop shit like more smoothly. You know what I'm saying, for all intents and purposes. Right. And instead of saying anything, you make me seem crazy, and then you try to make it seem like I'm the person that's trying to be divisive. Divisiveness is when I first went to you when we had issues on tour, and I said, yo, my mic is too low, can you say something? You go, oh, we're just here to have fun, until y'all mics were low and mine was high because they saw me as the headliner. And then it was like, we got to get everything fixed up. Now you want to check the speakers, you want to check and see if everything is doing. It's like, I watched it happen again. So again, watching the castration of black people live, regardless of whether it's Ye or it's any other person, I watched it happen with Lizzo. We watch it happen with Lizzo in real time, the way they attack Lizzo anytime she does anything. So we know it's a tactic, right? On top of, I'm a natural human, so you do something that hurts me, I'm gonna respond. You know me well enough to know I'm gonna respond. Yeah. So the response you get to use to catalyze an avalanche effect that works in your favor, because all you gotta do is stand back and watch it roll to the ground. That's what was the expectation was for the burnout, which didn't happen because, you know, the kind of album shit is crazy. You know, and Asa shit, all the other good shit, it's a lot of other great things that have happened. But that's what the whole purpose was, and the reason for not saying anything. The reason for taking a step back and nobody has an answer for it, because there was no answer. Because you would have to admit that the motive was jealousy. You would have to admit that the motive was an internal insecurity, that this is the form it came out of, and you were able to protect yourself because there's a base of people that will otherwise forgive you. I've watched a lot of, let's take it outside of that realm for a second. I've watched YouTubers get forgiven for being racist by other white YouTubers, which is crazy. So for all intents and purposes, my initial feelings years ago when I was saying, when people were like, yo, would you da-da-da, there were fans that would come to me and be like, yo, we don't feel like you're part of the whole group. Yo, I mean, I don't really feel like it either. I've said something to them, but they brushed it under the rug, and it became to be, well, you know, everybody wasn't into everyone in Wu-Tang in the beginning, you know, they all, you know, everyone like, you know, Method Man, or maybe like RZA. Oh, that's, okay, cool. So now 4 years later, we go on a 33-day tour, and nobody knows who I am. But the internet is so big that if I shit in a public place, everybody knows. Something isn't adding up. But you can make it look like I need clout. Going back to the original thing. Why do I need clout? One, if you came to me. Number two, why do I need clout if the whole structure of what you built this on, I was laying the bricks and mortar. I don't need that. That's not what I'm there for. It's not about the notoriety, even though all artists want attention, of course. Listen to my shit, I'm fucking fire. It's not the point. It's more so like, this was made for a community, and now it's been bastardized and otherwise has locked a bunch of people out, especially people that say something. That makes sense. And that's just the photo. That's not everything else. That's just one dynamic element that people got to see. You got to see that now. And for all intents and purposes, nobody would have seen it if that fan didn't tag me. I wouldn't have seen it because I had to ask to get a copy of the album. I had to ask. So if someone that's on the project had to ask, then that should tell you something else. Not just that, but you had to get my clearance in order to have my voice on the album, so why couldn't you get my clearance for what's in it? There's a whole world of things going on. I didn't get it to the Benny the Butcher Freddy shit. I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. You know, it's easy if you paint me as an artist that's always serious and can't laugh. They don't know how these things ended up affecting my real life. Fans asking me, are you okay? And I know they don't mean it condescendingly. I know you really do. I'm asking, am I okay? But dog, I'm chilling. I'm smoking. I'll be with the homies. We vibing. Yeah. But it's a thing that it's not one event. If we're gonna just use this in particular, it's not one event.
It's a whole build.
It's a whole build-up. And even outside of the build-up, even though that matters, we gotta talk about what happens after. Remember, the psychologist was the one who created racism. The concept thereof was made by a psych. So that means that there's a mind game that's played there in the way that things are represented. If you make it look like this is a spontaneous combustion, you can blame it on anything, literally anything. Versus if you find the root of why it happened, and then you can go, oh, that makes sense why that brush caught on fire. The conditions were right. It wasn't, somebody didn't just light it and throw some gas there. The conditions were absolutely correct for it. Yeah. Which, for this, they were. I almost left the bus multiple times. Like, M had to talk me in the stand. You know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, we got to finish this off. We got to finish this off. Things as simple as, why are we stopping in Mississippi? What the fuck is that? Why are we stopping here? Yeah. Why something like that couldn't be arranged out? You know, it's so much shit. But on the if we talk specifically about that, that's the root of it. Yeah. You know, the root now that is being taken on the context of, oh, this is a joke. Well, check this out. The two things about a joke. One, it has to be funny. And for all intents and purposes, it has to have some truth to it. So even if you're claiming it as just a joke, there's something in the joke you identify with that elicits a reaction from you, regardless of what it is. So if you laugh, there's something in it you identify with. If Dave Chappelle is making a black joke, I'm laughing because I identify with that joke. Yeah, you're right. We definitely do that shit. You know, so it's like, stop it. You're scaring the white people. Ha, 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 ha. You must kind of agree with that. I know it's my fault anyway. Yeah. Enough of the games. I slid you a control of the boot. Flash on the iris. We just played the bootleg by the suit. Flew out the south to buy some peaches. I've been reaching too far. You hopped that Delta for an hour, adding sugar to. Never listen. I'm hard-headed. Getting medicine blow. Stainless steel in my side. The crucifix is in tow. I carry burdens like I'm Jesus, baby. Leave me alone. If you can't reach me by the weekend, let's say Caesar's a flow. Suffer balance. New action draws a lead on my soul. Moon tide, the night's night. We just giving and go. Over avert narcissism. Give me that heaven, I'm owed. Could see the spark outside my heart and they like glitter and gold. Oh, we would never be apart. The shine is shimmering bold. Bringing the sun, swallow heat, keep your freezer from cold. Seek the forever crying piece of streets to bringing me home. Don't take it personal. So, and the person that you will listen to, you don't listen to. Oh, I understand why you probably won't listen to them, because there's only one other thing here that you would ignore. It's a woman. Oh, okay, of course you're going to ignore what she says. It makes total fucking sense. It was just too many things that played into the character in favor of whatever it is, the narrative that they wanted to push. It got to be whatever. Hey, just show me where I said, yeah, man, this is cool, let's fucking do this. And even then, I would think if I was a friend, why would I do that? And then even in doing that, then I would ask you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times to make sure that shit was okay. But that never happened. And then the joke got to be an inside joke between R&B, haha, funny, R&B, and it worked out that way. It made a nice little melody, and it came out in the form of a lie. That was me wanting to be divisive amongst people. Fuck all that. I'll be the first to tell you, I care about what people get from me, okay? Even though y'all see me produce an album or 2 a year or whatever, it's because I'm a musician. It's my trade. It's what I love. It's what I do. It's my art. It's my being. Ultimately, I hear music in everything. I'm listening to this while I'm having this interview, listening for samples. Like, that's just kind of how I function. So when I present something, I do it because I love it. If I go on stage, y'all can't get this not sounding the way it's supposed to sound. This is supposed to sound right. Your job as a master of ceremony is to present a ceremony. You're supposed to be the master of the ceremony. So if something is off, you go and fix it, unless you don't know what to look for. And why wouldn't you know what to look for? So shoot the messenger. I just know what to look for. Yeah. I care about how it all sounds conclusively. You know, going to even deeper depth, people ask questions. A question I got all the time. Why didn't you end off in more places? Because it was set up for me to not. Want the truth? That's the truth. I switched off with the box. And you know what I'm talking about. We went like this. Yeah. That's it. And anytime it was presented otherwise, it got shut down by one particular person. But the reality is, people like to project their feelings of who they believe you are onto you rather than allow you to be who you are, which is the dynamics of being a human being. The difference is when you're white passing, whatever the fuck you call it, you have all of the room to be whoever you want at any given point in time. When you're black, you can't even sleep on a fucking bench without the cops getting called. Real shit. You wanna know something that happened this year? I got pulled over in front of my house. 2 cops pulled up, checking my shit. What's in your glove? What's on your What's all this? Bro, I'm in front of my house. All right, but you're sitting inside of the car, and it's not registered, and it's this and that. It's like, what the fuck? You got all this information from the 2 seconds that you drove by here to stop and check who was in the car to then call it in and have someone else come out here? Crazy. I can't even sit in front of my house. That's nuts. You know, so dealing with that as a regular life, and then being around people that I see as friends, and then I deal with I deal with things on a subtle scale. Let's take the ending out, because the ending is always what people want to focus on, is the climax, right? The climax and the denouement. The denouement gets to be the definition of whatever it is, right? So let's say hypothetically I wasn't working this whole time, because I was. I've done multiple shows. I've done multiple videos. I'm working on a short film. I did my Polaroid shit, definitely working on the new wave for that. I have a whole line of fashion for my merch, my socks, all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's many different things that I'm working on right now on some real shit that I can't talk about. But I was in Romania when that whole shit popped off. Yeah, so I didn't even have time to really process it, because it was like, what's going on? And then on top of that, I'm seeing more people rush to me than before. Then I go, oh shit, so what I said before about y'all not paying attention is now being shown, because you are paying attention in a function that it serves for you now. And rather than just say, y'all didn't really care about whatever I was doing on my music and it wasn't of true acceptance, you made it about me being bothered about it, and it got to be about my insecurity. There's no insecurity here. Like, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but I've definitely the most experience here. So there's not an insecurity in that. It's, on a basic level, I wanna be treated a certain way, and it shouldn't be complicated for me to receive such. I shouldn't have to beg or borrow or fight. The ending of how everything popped off and everyone looks at social media and Twitter, all that shit, that was a result of multiple conversations. Niggas say all day that I never brought this shit up. I'm not a text message dude. That shit hella corny. But I have my facts. I ride by the truth. Right. I know there's been multiple times I said something in different instances of different things that got ignored, swept in the rug, dismissed. Nobody knows why I was on tour. I had 2 friends died, one from suicide and another person that had just woken up and was like, I can't breathe. Boom, they're gone. I found that out 4 days before tour started. Then it got to be about how I'm being antisocial on the bus. Stop fucking with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can throw it off and do all these other things, but you have to have a conscience and you have to care. And if you don't have either of those things, then that's not gonna mean anything to you. So regardless of what I went through, it's not gonna mean anything to you if you don't identify with me on a human level, which is ultimately what comes to the points that have been made earlier, even about the whitewashing of. There has to be a humanization of it. So if I'm on a lo-fi beat and I'm talking about how I feel, but you like the beat, but you can't identify with my emotions. You're not feeling what I'm feeling. But if I get on stage and if I do that shit, then you're forced to feel it. Now you're forced to be uncomfortable. I'm no longer leaving people in the pocket where they can decide whether or not you want to feel how I feel. Yeah. You made me feel things I didn't want to feel. That's it. I already have dealt with enough type of shit, enough trauma, enough dismissal, enough whatever the fuck. You can talk about how I handled it. You can talk about all this other shit, whatever, but we can look at the facts of certain things. Not going too deep, because there's a whole 80% of this. We're just focusing on the small margin that the people actually care about outside, right? Yeah. But ultimately, that's really what it is. So to your question about the lo-fi and the changing of the sound, that's coming from me being in a space where now I even understand. And for everybody that looks like me, we're not like, yeah, we cool and we're around. It's love. It's like we want to have a party. We want to have fun. But there's a whole other feeling in here that is coming out. I'll give an example. This is a TikTok trend. I love this kid, right? This little black kid. Woo wop, right? I want to kill my mom. I fucking love that, right? You know why I love it? Because it's a black child expressing themselves. Joke or not, you're just doing it, and it's being received. Because I grew up in the hardcore scene, to all intents and purposes, punk, all that. So I saw how white kids got to express themselves like that, and their parents weren't freaking out, and people weren't like, "Oh, this is gonna become a school shooter" or some wild shit. It was like, okay, you get to just get to be that. Yeah. And it was beautiful seeing that, because it's like, oh, you got to just be that. You get to just exist, The beauty and that's why I went to Romania. I got to Romania first day. A white dude spit on me and said, "Ew, black, disgusting." That was the first day I was there. You know why I had so much fun while I was there? Because that happened one time and that was it. In America, it can happen anywhere and any time, and it comes in the form of so many different things. You're so disillusioned because when you're close to someone that is a liberal, it puts you in a space, in their space, where they can shapeshift into whatever it is to prove to them that they can be whatever you need at any given point in time to get themselves out of a hot seat of having to come into contact with, I'll say, the accountability of being a part of the general matrix. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's hard for a lot of people. And jumping further, doing music and all these other good things, it's harder because, you get shadow banned now. You say too much, you get shadow banned. Right. So I just go, okay, I think y'all know how I feel, but in instances like this, I have to say things, because then I have people that don't get to talk to me every day, even my friends that are going, "Yo, man, I see you been going hella hard on the white people, bro. Like, I feel you, bro, but like, you good, bro? Your mental good?" I'm like, I'm fine. What are you talking, bro? I'm high as shit. I just beat off like 2 minutes ago, bro. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm vibing right now, bro. But to them and everyone on the internet, you see this one particular stretch of fire, and that becomes a focus because the algorithm works in a way that's where it pushes it, boom, 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 and then it caps you because it doesn't want you to talk about that, right. And it brings you back down. Now I don't have an opportunity for people to see every other good thing that happened. You got an hour out of 6 months, and that hour got to define everything I felt. It got to put me in a position where people took a step back, or otherwise, which is crazy too, because I didn't do anything fucking wrong. That's the craziest part. Yeah. But these are part of the effects of how it happened. So for me, I don't really care about it because I'm vibing, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, real shit. And it's beautiful, the connections I made with a lot of the new people I've met that have put me in wonderful places. Like, let's put it to you like this. I wouldn't ever be able to say that through one of these people, that they would care about me enough to put me in front of Blink's manager. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I could never say that, but there are people in my life that would. And that's where my focus is, and that's what I focus on. And my only gripe with the internet is that the algorithm gets to decide what you do and don't see. And I wish people can see my shows instead of all this other stupid shit. Real shit. Yeah. I've been working all year, working on album 2. People don't know that. Album 2 is already a quarter done. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to talk about, you got a London show coming up in a few weeks.
Brixton Jam. Yeah. November the 23rd, pull up.
And you got an album coming up in a few weeks.
November the 16th, pull up.
Talk to me about, you definitely laid down some of the foundation for it, but talk to me about recording that new project. Can you tell them what the name, or can we tell them what the name is real quick?
You're a liar and you suck. Who would love you?
And we did basically just cover most of it, but like synopsis of what the recording process of that looked like. Where was the inspiration for that coming from?
Sheesh.
Any influences you had on that, or sorry, any influences outside of what's been going on that played into the creation of that?
Everything.
And also, mainly, what do you want this project? What message do you want to deliver with this project? Yeah.
Figure yourself the fuck out. Bitches buck, these britches bust below her brittle knees. Took a shot to split your melon, but I was off by 6 degrees. Made a scene, took your president, yanked him up a tree. If he's still alive from a broken spine, we gon' cut a line at his feet. It's a summer drive, you gon' hit your ride and then sit and die in the street. Yeah, it's real, like if on some real shit though, like conceptually you're a liar and you suck. It's like, who would love you? You know what I'm saying? If you are these things, who would do that? And it's like people try to blanket things when it comes to loving somebody, which can't be love if love is meant to be unconditional. So the whole purpose is to project a lot less of yourself and to understand more of where that person is coming from or who that person is, while also learning who you are. But it's like, oh, y'all were willing to support that more because of the faces that are attached to it. So that means that this is more personal. Then I thought, this isn't not personal. This is exactly what it is. This is, okay, I'm being isolated out of a particular channel, and it came to fruition once I learned being on tour. People were like, oh, I've never even heard of you. I didn't know you were in the group. I didn't even know you were in the group. That's crazy. You didn't know? I was there. Okay, cool. So how do you cover your tracks? Now we got to create something. So what did they do? They created something. It's all a cover-up, dog. That's why, like, you go to different cities and our names weren't on it. Sometimes Square's name wasn't on it and my name wasn't on it. Sometimes it was crossed out. Sometimes it was only Rab's name on it. Yeah. I found it out last minute. Like, oh, by the way, this isn't all this. And it's like, it's weird that y'all want to make this about a clout thing. Y'all made it, the way that it was framed was that I needed them. They came to me. I joined X because they came to me. They asked me to be in the group because you heard about me. The only reason that they're able to run with what they're running with is because they had some friends. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows who these friends are, who helped them. And then it ended up bringing them to where they're at now. If we had, let's put it, let's start. People do. This wasn't an amalgamation of hard work. This wasn't hard work. This was favors and luck. And some work. This isn't taken away from the work it takes to create an album or to put some things together or to do these things. It's all of these things take work. But it's different when you have, if you don't take into consideration the amount of work your friends do for you, you're going to lose them. And you got to pay attention to what your real friends do for you, right? And what friends that otherwise it may work out for something to them in the future will do to you as well. Hence the reason why, again, a part of the community, hence the reason why a lot of people have verses from me that they just won't release because it doesn't work in their favor right now. Yeah. That's really all it's about. It has to work in your favor. I got to be there, and then you go, oh, yeah, I'm trying to get there too. Hey, yo, check this out. I got this joint right here. Check this out. I'm about to drop this shit.
Do you think that bridge with them has been burned completely?
I burned it.
You burned it.
I absolutely burned it. And I burned it because it goes deeper than that. Right. It goes so deep that I would have been willing to be like, all right, I'm going to take a little bit. Y'all go figure out shit out. I'll come back to this. We can just take like a 5-second. That's what you do with your friends. I got a homeboy that he and I got into some shit early this year. We ain't talked for like 4 months. He and I thought that we was really on some rough 'em up shit. By the 7th month, we're kicking and he's coming over. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do with your real friends. But some things, you know where it's coming from. And when it happened, I reheard everything that I heard before that got passed off as a joke. I was like, oh, this is how you communicate. This is how you communicate your real feelings. It's through joking. Feel. That's what we all do on memes, right? Memes are us communicating how we feel for all intents and purposes through comedy. So it's a joke because that's what you really feel. Just say that's how you really feel so that we can deal with it from that perspective, and it protects me. Because it's dangerous if you're willing to put me in spaces that aren't safe for me because you're not willing to be honest with me about how you actually feel about me. You don't like me? Tell me. You know, but if you really want to set me up, you're going to bring me to a block where you told people that you don't fuck with me. And I'm going in there thinking that you fuck with me, we're going to be cool. Next thing I know, I'm naked on the corner. So, you know.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Were we recording for that?
Oh, shit.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, all right, we gang.
But okay, I'm trying to think of where we want to jump to.
I can say one thing in particular. From the human side, I'm hurt because these are people that I considered, or at least one or two of them I considered my friends. I can say one of them, we would sit up and we'd talk for long periods of time. We'd crack jokes. Another one, when they had lost, it's so crazy to think because after that big altercation that occurred on the bus, I was the one that was crying on the shoulders of. I was the one they need the moral support for on stage. So it's like, okay, you're willing to use me emotionally, you're willing to use me for this or whatever that, but not see me from a human level or meet me where I'm at. All right, cool. So we don't have to have conversation because I try to talk multiple times leading up. And eventually get to a point where you're just like, I don't care. So the truest hurt comes from the people that you're closest to. That's how it is for me. Like, if you didn't mean anything to me, I'm like, you do some dumb shit. It's like, all right, I'm going to square up with you, knock you out, we can call it a day. Like, it doesn't have to be physical. It can be whatever the case may be. But, like, when you're someone close to me, it's like, damn, you would do that? Oh, you would. Oh, I watched this happen. I lost close friends in part of this. Like, and don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I am not regretful at all. I am not sad that I lost these people, the ones that were close friends, any of that. I'm not sad about it, not just because I've met people that treat me accordingly and also taught me how I should treat myself going further in my life. But I mean, to me, the scale is fairly small. As big as things were, it was fairly small. So it's like, man, if you was willing to do that shit off of something small like this, who knows what you'd be willing to do for something much bigger. Yeah. So it's like I'm in the safest possible space. Because, I mean, you always learn things after the fact, and I learned some things after the fact. Shit, damned if I do, damned if I don't, right? But I learned some things after the fact that would have made it so that I never would have even accepted being in it in the first place. I wouldn't even have joined. Yeah. Because I'd be like, oh, nah, I'm cool over here. But I'm glad I learned what I learned. And I'm coolin'. I ain't got no hate on the lo-fi community. You know what I'm saying? I just know that there's a rampant problem, and that rampant problem is remaining neutral and acting like it's not happening and silencing people that say something. That's the real problem. Yeah. And once a real conversation can be had, and I mean just on the grand scale, this is outside of my personal shit. Once a real conversation can be had, then we can actually move it a little bit more forward. But right now, people don't want to talk, so I'm making music. Yeah. Black music.
was a plan and I asked to bark. Sure I lark, shrug my card in the track, then I stabbed the mark. Super duper trooper, I blast and I gas the God. Feel like Jimmy out of space is the absence of lasting heart. Watching death, I'm just a gat that you flashed to walk past the guard. Know the covenant was lost when she laughed and she crashed the car. Empty star, hit your Kobe.